No, what they want. The fact is that, and this is true. They want people to eat. They want people to go and buy and eat the burgers. They want them to go home. They want them to sit down, switch the telly on, and they want them to watch the game shows. And they want them to talk and answer the questions to the game shows and clap when the noise goes beep, 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 and the little tune, ding. That's what they want, RFK. And we need to admit this. Many of the women on TV shows, calendar news, they want people to go home, sit on TuneIn, watch them, listen to them. They want, them to clap and like it. They want audiences. They want massive groups of people around them. This is the problem with success. You might say, well, that's how you can't not speak to people or send a message to people without having an audience. It's impossible. The Colosseum in Rome was, if you watch that Gladiator film, it's meant to be accurate. It was used for not only theatre and, acting, but for violence, for fighting, lions and animals and so forth. Quite brutal. And, yet they say that the Irish Gaelic people, were wild. But, all that stuff to do with Wicker Men and putting people in it and burning people and all stuff like that, those are war. That's what happened to war hostages to intimidate the other side. The Romans were killing just as many people, There's... They want the devices now. They wanted, right, where you wanted to buy TVs. Now you're having TVs with digital eyes in them because we want to see into a different room, and you're having them whether you like them or not because all the TVs are going to be made with them. And now, they've got the mobile phones. Now you're having the mobile... No, once you got the mobile phone and you got used to it, now they've updated the mobile phone, so you have to accept their terms, you have to consent to their terms, you have to accept the new apps that listen in and do this or that, or your phone won't work anymore. That is entrapment. It is an entrapment. And now they're popping up ads on phones saying, it's scary outside, right? Get the motion detectors. Since when was it scary? I've grown up, through my entire life, and we've never needed anything really. One or two occasions, but where is all this safe? America's different here, but it's America's fault. But they were all the things they brought over here to England, like McDonald's, all the shopping malls, the parking lots for all the retail and supermarket model that they changed it and updated it to from the old little Victorian shops and so forth. It was all pitched through the movies. It was all pitched through like Back to the Future. It was all pitched through the films. And in those films, there's always a hero. One hero who stands up to the corporate, stands up to the terrorists in the building, stands up on the Running Man to the corporate game shows, and always seems to be, on all these wisecracks. And everything that hero does in those films would be illegal now. Everything that you actually need to do to stop these people in the films, if you did that, you'd be a terrorist, you'd be criminal. Look at Lawrence Fox. He can't even apparently stand up for you, Les, and then the police are telling him what he can and can't say. When he's a political party leader, he can say what he wants. That's the whole point of political free speech, We have taken a wrong turn. It's about greed and excess. And I'm not a massive Bible pitcher at all, but all those sins, a lot of them have got common sense behind them. And they are rational and logical. And when you look around you in the world, it is the greed of the food. It is the greed of too many possessions. And then why would people have more community and enjoyment if people would get to know each other more, learn to understand each other more and accept each other? But these tools and devices that Mark Zuckerberg, has developed and designed, and the mobile phone companies, all the block and banning, it is antisocial. But then they're bringing all these antisocial laws in, right, when they've got devices that are encouraging antisocial behaviour. But their definition of antisocial is just if you do something what another person doesn't like or want. And that methodology and paradigm is that everyone will obey you and comply with you, right? That's not really what the word social is. The word social is being with people. And the word social means being with people and not being omitted or rejected by groups and people. And blocking and banning does that, particularly if you don't comply with people's whims or they don't understand you. It's not about, let's take it to the side and have a discussion. Mark Zuckerberg could have created Facebook, if arguments break out on the group, right, then it ruins it for everyone. But there's nothing to stop you from taking it to the side, right? And it's actually better if you argue, because you end up, that's a debate, and you end up getting everything out that you want to say about it, even if you're both shouting, and everything that you believe and think gets said, and usually each other or one or the other gets the point, and the person then who, I know you don't want winners and losers, but there's nothing worse than not getting your point across, and it's. I know it's not good to have just shouting for the sake of shouting and shouting all the time, like little yapping dogs, just yapping for the sake of yapping. But if you block and shun and ban just because people do what you say and comply with you, you're going down an authoritarian pathway of obedience. That's very fascist. If Bob thinks this and John thinks that, right, it's a lot better for them to scream and shout and get their point across, and then it's known, rather than one of them being shut down or whatever, because and we know that it's better not to shout, but everyone's got their own style and character, There are meek people or quiet people. There are witty people. There are clever people. There are emotional people. These are what make people individual and different. And then you get these ministers like Sunak and so forth, bringing all these laws of discrimination because you're different height or a different sex or a different gender or a different ethnicity or whatever, and you have to be treated different. But those people are explicitly and specifically not wanting to accept people for their character. And that is, if you are lively, animated, shout, that is as unique as, being Chinese or black or whatever, And the thing with, you can change behaviour, but if it is a trait, if it is an inherited trait, then surely that's part of being you. And if they want to erase that and start messing with people genetically, those are the big issues. And all this is on the table now with the genetics and with the devices trying to condition and change people. This sperm count thing is really massive and huge, and that has got to play a massive part in all this, gender identity and so forth. When it definitely has been a large spike since the war. I've just tried to put a song out highlighting these with some Russell Brand clips and so forth, and they won't publish it, even though it's already public. Every single clip I used is already published. I'm getting obstructed from putting my own political adverts out and opinions. Lawrence Fox in England and Reclaim Party. It is promising when you hear Rand Paul talking about, Fauci and, liability, culpability, the fact they actually might, be criminal and they could bring criminal charges. That's standing up to corruption. This whole divide thing, right? I kind of really want to finish it on a point now a lot of these people who are the issue they get everything they want in life once they start getting into this money, and when the thing is with them, I know that a lot of these people have worked hard. They've worked hard in the business world for money, and it's not spoiled in the same way as just someone being given something for nothing, but they're spoiled in the sense of having their own way, not the fact that they've worked for what they've got, but the fact that they accumulate so much power and money that if things don't go their way, They don't just sulk, they get angry, but they can't show that they're being angry. And I think they're doing political actions. I think they're taking political actions and doing political things to us because of, they want to keep in control and so forth. And that is where we get all these events and incidents. There's one thing that Rand Paul needs, I think he's on the right track with the whole thing that he's been looking into. But there's all this government disclosure. There's all these government departments. Then you're talking about, the CIA should have been, broken up and scattered to the wind. That ain't exactly the, peace pipe powwow talk, is it? And then the other guy said that, he should have sorted the CIA out a long time ago. The CIA should have been sorted out a long time ago. So, what is the CIA doing then? If I don't get, the way Rand Paul's talking about is that he doesn't get answers from certain departments of government, and what exact powers has the president got and hasn't he got? If Congress are the ones doing all the legislation, who exactly is running the country? There are certain things that certain departments of the government and the army weren't handing over or didn't want to hand over. Is there some racketeering going on in the CIA? If it's, what are all these things that it is doing on Twitter and YouTube? Was it under explicit direction of the president? Take this down, take that down, suppress this, suppress that, or are there groups? Are there minorities or groups within the CIA, kind of like its own political party, its own League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, who believe that they don't need the president to run the country? Are they kind of running it through their own racketeering just because they're in powerful positions and they've got contacts, And that would suggest, this paradigm that I've conjured up, of Bentcop.biz, which is basically a military industrial. He is military industrial, isn't it? Because it's policing, military, a rank and file regime tied into business and an agenda for the human race, which goes beyond military weapons. Because if you don't need to use a tank or a bomb or a gun, but you want to, take occupy places and take control, then you use other methods because you don't need to use your tank. You only get the tanks and guns out and the battleships and aircraft carriers when you need to. Otherwise, you can do it through whatever means there are, through the food or through devices and so forth. The easiest way, the path of least resistance, which is influencer. This is why it goes into adverts. Every time now they update my phone, I hate it. I can't stand it. I don't even want this phone. But, we don't seem to be encouraged with people anymore, whether it's the bus station, any of the slightest thing makes you feel uncomfortable. Every single thing they are doing to me with this phone makes me feel uncomfortable. The adverts, even sending me text messages saying, when to get motion detectors, that makes me feel uncomfortable. They're living in a contradiction. And the thing is that out of all of it, even all the games, TV game shows and celebrities and all the distractions and all the foods and the whole thing, there is a terrorist organisation behind it. It is terror. I don't know if it's officially directly under control of the government or a department of the government or the military or ex-military or some business sector. I'm not sure, but there's enough, right? There's like Rand Paul with Fauci and so forth. For me, there's enough pattern. There's enough you get enough lines on a drawing and you can see the shape of what's been drawn with minimal lines, right? There's enough to make out when something happens now, or when we're doing things, there's like some sort of incident and a response, and it's done with a meaning. Because the thing is, if you just make a sound like this, like ugh, or whatever, if someone says something and you reply ugh, it's just a noise, right? If, let's say, like dropping a needle in a haystack, if you just strike a random noise, right? If you're, if there are things happening around you and there's a random noise, it has no meaning to it. You don't attach a meaning to the sound because you've got to attach something to it, And I think with humans and language, every syllable and sound you speak, right? We've got letters, vowels, consonants, and they make up words. And even if your wife does something and you're like, do I have to like that? Even if you like tut, the tut, it doesn't mean nothing. The tut has a meaning, and even the rolling of the eyes without a sound has a meaning. And you want the person to know when you roll your eyes, it's not just like an involuntary movement. It's not just like a twitching of the hand or an involuntary twitching of the ankle. When you roll the eyes, right, it's like all the smileys. It means something. Now, these incidents that are happening globally and nationwide, if you look at them, right, they're not just like complete random raindrops falling like this, random. When one of us does something that is significant, and you know when you've done something significant, when someone else has done something significant, like Russell Brand asking people to not pay their taxes for that campaign, don't pay UK, right? The next thing, the Queen dies. Never in history. Well, when's the last time someone with 6 million viewers, subscribers, following of 6 million said to the nation, right, well, we're not going to pay our taxes? This is why the Civil War started, because they won't pay the shipping tax, right? I don't think someone primed him with it. There's something went weird in the government and the royal family, for that event to happen then. It wasn't a coincidence, the timing of it. I've sent things, artwork from a campaign, and it's gone missing in the post. And then another time I sent it, someone rammed a car into some kids who were sitting with like little things, just like Extinction Rebellion, making paper things outside. It looked like some sort of stand, like some sort of protester stand, but it was a kid's school that got rammed. It timed exactly. You know yourself when you're not just coming out of Lidl with a shopping bag full of, pasties and, doing mundane stuff. You know that when you either publish something strong or make a legal statement, something happens and then you say, well, you're wrong about it. Like with that Dartmoor case, with the camping on Dartmoor, when, you need to be able to camp when you're outside for medical reasons. They can't take that away. Things like that. It's significant. And there are responses happening, like, those 250 people in India when that train signal failed and so forth. There is this whole theory that, is it just like, psychic cause and effect? Is it like some sort of magic power, but not a good one, like a jinx, some sort of jinx or hex or whatever? Or is it being planned and caused by people, humans with influence and power? It would suggest that if there's a signal failure on an electronic system, that can be done. The thing is, I'm having things done now. I upload an image and it's got a white line across the top of it. I look at my computer, my copies doesn't have a white line across the top of it. Neither does the one on the website. So someone's intervened in it and changed it. And then, then there's, then one of my songs was not playing. It playing the different song, right? That's never happened before. And ask, TuneCore, something wrong with it? Yes, So then other things, we're being toyed with. I think that it's a long-established tradition going way, way back from, the invention of the telephone, possibly even through, fastening a message to a pigeon's leg or whatever you're doing, right? If you would come over to a country with an army and conquer it and kill people, you'll do anything, right? And to maintain that power and control, you're going to lie, cheat and steal, and I think, Rand Paul's the person to ask, but he claims that he's not told everything on anything, you've got Robert F. Kennedy's probably got the most experience with all this espionage and funds fitted and the apparatus, surveillance apparatus and stuff like that. But who's surveilling the surveillance apparatus? That, in my opinion, from what I've experienced and from what I've seen, it's not just this 77th Brigade, it's told to take stuff down from Facebook and YouTube, I don't think that it's all, if Paul Rank can say, people in certain departments won't tell me stuff or this and that, who is in charge? Well, the president, but, but apparently, there's Obama who is having to ask questions. I think that there is implanted, a organisation that fears no court, can evade anything and have anything erased and wiped, and has been ahead with the technology. Not necessarily, like alien leaps and bounds ahead. I'm just talking like enough. So, look, you don't need to be 2 steps ahead of someone to lock a door. All you need is the key, and they don't have the key, right? So, it's not too far-fetched to think there's guys with computers who have a level beyond, what everyone else has got, or just access keys or whatever it is, whether it's Bill Gates or not, or before Bill Gates, the army developed the internet, there are just protocols that can be overriding protocols, that people might not even know exist or are aware of them, or even try to find them and they can't. Like even the wiring of the house and the normal electric, being used for things, other secondary systems that aren't even the primary system that we use, that could be present that no one has even looked for, So I just think that, when they want to focus in on something, it's like this Madeleine McCann. Why the name Madeleine McCann? Because that name means something. It doesn't mean nothing. It's not like John Smith or Paul Dickens. It's Madeleine getting angry McCann. And the meaning of that is that, if the Empire wants to strike back, it can. It can, and no one can even find out or identify it. Not even the police, not even the police force that are put in place to find criminals. If you want to give them the police an MOT to find out what they are and aren't capable of, then you can give them a good runaround, giving them an MOT test. And this is the thing, like with all this, look at the witness protection program, changing people's identities. Certain departments of the government have that data. Rishi Sunak has access to it. Certain ministers, but George Galloway was a minister. George Galloway has got certain, means and ways of doing things. He's into his overseas stuff, but even he was, sent over to America and scolded in front of Congress. There is I don't know whether it's military or not, but there is a network of people, and I strongly believe that you're hot on that trail when you've got characters like David Cameron and Tony Blair, because they are doing the exact things in the direction of which they're going with the plan. And now we've got, not just distracted by TV game shows and clapping audiences and, all that, going on holiday or whatever. When you realise, there's something, it's important, we need to know it. You're not just like, rowing a boat in a merry dream. You need to, this is serious, because everything now isn't just random. It's actually been guided and orchestrated, because they're wanting digitalising rooms. Why? Why do they need motion detectors everywhere? In a 1950s town or village, really, who would need, even if you could go back in time to the 1950s, right? Even if you could have that tech with the click of your fingers, in Hucksville, Indiana in 1950, why would you want motion detectors everywhere in digital ITV in everyone's room anyway, and everyone to be buying all these deals from mobile phones and popping up adverts on your phone? If you could go back in time to 1950s or 1940s America, would you even really want those devices there and then? And to be honest, half the food could have been done with changing, because they were munching on those burgers back then anyway. Some of it is human error and human mistake and just being sloppy, like what Rand Paul says, but part of it is like a cover-up and evading liability. And the thing with humans is this: it is very hard to stop bad habits. It's difficult, particularly when you've got bad influence around you and they're always trying to influence you in the bad way. That's bad enough. But it's not just down to that. It's like, things are being deleted or erased, communications severed or obstructed, and people actively try not to allow anyone to put a stop to it or do it any different. And that is the serious part of it. It has this impulse power. This impulse power just keep it all going. And unfortunately, it's generating this impulse. It is making us ill. And we need to control, pull back. Don't, have the extra pies and the pasties. And at that point, that means that you have to try and pull back from having too much excess in other things as well. It's just sense, but we haven't done. And a lot of people are getting ill from it and suffering. And the people who aren't, the elite who aren't, I think they like the fact that, even though their own comrades are getting ill and dropping and falling down, they in a way, it's almost like pity the fool. But, why would you want to be friends with people who got malicious intent, for your health? So, and then we've got these ministers in government who are just obsessed with surveillance. Oh, we've got a digital passport. We're knocking all these. We've got all this data. What? Why? Why do they want this data? They don't like half these people, the ministers. Half the country now is not voting for them, right? Half the country, they're wanting to block people from groups. They're wanting to block people from websites. So why do they want the data? It's like the ultimate irony of YouTube is this: that the irony of YouTube is that now Neil Mohan, he don't want your videos on there, right? Well, we don't want your videos on YouTube. We don't want your channel. Go away. So why are they so obsessed with coming on his phone then? And why do you have to submit and consent to have Mohan on? He don't want you on his website. I don't want your videos on my website. I don't want your videos on my website. So what? So why is he coming onto your phone looking at your videos? He doesn't like your videos. As Zuckerberg says, block them. We can't block them. You got to accept, submit consent. So it's absolutely ridiculous that these guys want on your phone, they want to scan all your video files. They even want to, use the data to feed you back ads. They want to use your videos themselves. They just want access to the videos. They want to actually use your videos. But they don't want your videos on their website. That is the ultimate hypocrisy. And they also won't allow you to say that you can't look at them anymore, because the phone won't work otherwise. It's like consent, submit, accept. So, but they won't, when you ask them a question, like, why you take my video down? No, I'd have to give you a reason, any reason or no reason. Those terms, no one would agree to those terms. How can any American voter, regardless of Republican or Democrat, agree to that? They've got to be away with the fairies. That's not conspiracy theory. That is actually how your phone's now working. These guys, they don't want you on their platform, but they want to come onto your phone and use the videos that they don't want on their platform to get data on you to use for their profit for adverts. It's good enough to use for profit for their adverts, and it's good enough to get information on you, right? But it's not good enough to go on their website. If they let you have it on the website, they will need to come onto your phone. Because, if I upload all my videos onto YouTube, then they don't need to come onto my phone, do they? But they want not just the stuff that I'm giving over, they want the stuff that I'm not giving over. But they don't want us to give it over, but they want to come on and see it on your phone. So they're pushing us back all the time, aren't they? They're forcing us back into our own homes, And this is what I'm like here now. There's all kinds of things going off all around us, everything that I like is getting destroyed and ruined. And it's my family that are doing it. My brother, my mum, my dad, because, someone's whispering in their ear, or someone's, getting them an offer on the TV, or it's popping up on a mobile phone text message. Why did you get rid of these? Why did you get rid of I like the kitchen set. Why did you get rid of the knives and forks? I like those plates. The supermarket had a new offer on. Just the exact ones that I liked, why are you changing all these things? There's nothing wrong with it. Someone in a third world country, or even someone in a village somewhere, we don't need new things. Those things are perfectly all right. There was nothing wrong with them. My family is actually not making its own decisions. It's been suggested things to do, which I don't actually really particularly like, and then they're just going and doing it. And this is like the power that Starmer, the vision of Starmer and Cameron and Tony Blair is that, they will be the ultimate, they will, all the fashions will be suggested by them, everything will be suggested by them, owning all the houses. They want to design the planet, the entire planet, but they want to be the designers of it. And that is like wanting to be godlike, but with everyone else like. If you control what people like and don't like, then you can control what they do and don't do, because people usually generally only do things that they like unless they really have got no option. And the problem is now there's a lot of things being done to our phones that I really don't like and no one really likes, but you don't have an option, And the thing is, they're making it, if you do anything that anyone else doesn't like, now they're making it criminal, But unless it's a corporate entity which is controlling you, the authoritarian control, consent, submit. You can't dislike something that they're doing to us. You can dislike what your people around you are doing, and you can block them off. But you can't dislike what the government or the elite are doing to us, and they can do it for any reason or no reason. So really, everyone else, really, we need to get them to understand that. And, if they're working for these elite and they're enjoying helping them out and doing that, then surely they're enjoying, been able to do things to us for any reason or no reason. And a lot of these controls and buttons allow them to do that, you know. So it's a technology. The technology has been inserted by these guys, you know, Zuckerberg and all these developers and all these new developers, and we're not really ready for it. And, you know, I don't think that Mark thought it out. He was a young man. You know, he went to nightclubs, he did this, he did that. You know, everyone wants a happy world, you know. He wants everyone to be friendly in the world. He got loads of money coming in. I just don't think that he thought it out properly. I think as he was doing it, and then there's other people, you know, like the military who are, bigger fish in the sea that are, you know, got other alternative means and, a part to play in it, something to get out of it, and so forth. So there's misguidance there as well. It's just, you know, if I'd have had Facebook, I would have made it so, you know, if someone's got a dispute, you kind of like take it to the, not in Messenger or whatever, but it's some sort of, you know, side, some sort of like, you know, like when you're going down a hill and you've got those like runoff things to the left or right, you know, in case your brakes don't work, you know, that run off into the side. You know, you got like those shoot things, you know. If you have an argument, it shouldn't spoil it for everyone, but you should be able to debate it, even whether it's in Messenger or not, you know. You want to get the words out. You want to tell them how you feel. You want to say, look, you said this and it upset me, and you know, blah blah blah, and you're wrong about this, you're wrong about that. And the thing is, when someone's wrong, you know, if the voices get raised, that just means that you care about it more, or one person cares about it more. These are characters, you know. I think Larry Fink wants us all to be the same character, and that's racist, you know. If it's skin colour, then some acts like, oh, no, you know. But if it's, you know, character, then you're not allowed. Oh, you can't have that character, you know. We don't accept this character here. Well, you might as well say, well, we don't accept black people. Because if you say, you know, we don't accept, you know, comedians in here, we got someone with wit, humour, that's a form of racism. Because it's who that person is, whether or not it's taught from their family or school, or whether or not it's genetic or not. That's who they are. And this is the thing about growing up in the world and reading people, that the minister in government for the Secretary of State for Home Office, the guy who's in charge of the police, has just been going on about, oh, we've got all this data now, all this biometrics, all these passport and photo recognition and face recognition and all this and that, and we get machines to do it. What about the human face recognition? What about when you're at school? What about when you're growing up? What about facial recognition? What about all the silent, unspoken things that you're assessing, making observations? You know, they'll check this guy out, you know, looks a bit sketchy or whatever, you know, better not say this, better not say that, like you used to be, or don't do this or that. You know, I don't think the police grant us any intelligence or intellect. And then again, you know, you have got people with different observational skills and so forth. But, you know, they're not, I don't think that they grant anything to humans. A lot of these police chiefs and ministers, they don't seem to value humanity anymore. And at the end of the day, there is a basis for policing, which is, there's a natural order, which is that, you know, if a monkey steals a stick from another monkey or hits him with it, then he's going to hit him back. And the police just don't agree with that, because the police believe, well, don't take the law into your own hands. But the whole evolutionary value in that is that if you hit the monkey when he steals your stick, then he's unlikely to steal it again, and you might get it back. Unfortunately, the police don't believe in this principle and theory. They believe that, you must sit there like a disabled monkey and wait for some other monkeys to appear in a alien spaceship with flashing lights, and they're authorised to deal with it. There's something wrong with the Secretary of State for the Home Office and the police chief officers. And the fact is that the law is there to use, for all of us to use, for us, by us, for us, to obey, but also to use. And the police don't want us to use it. And they say what the law is, they interpret the law, they apply the law, and they've got the money and funds to enforce the law. And that's why the police are corrupt. That's why the police are corrupt. And that is why the government is corrupt, because there's no one to keep them in line and check, you know. And really, that's why we have the army, supposedly to keep other countries' governments in check. If they can't persuade them with Tony Blair going around whispering in their ears to update all the government systems, this new government system, which is any reason or no reason. No, you can't, I noticed something changed when they started automatically, taking my bank card off me, or when I used to be able to keep my bank card or whatever, and there was something going wrong. They just kept taking things off me. Take it from bankcup.biz. I did a sticker, take it from bankcup.biz. Then suddenly they started taking everything from me, the government. I think they must have liked that slogan, and they thought, all right, well, we'll take everything from him. My paper driving licence, my passport, my bank cards, all the things that, that I usually keep when I get a new one, or, just weird stuff started happening, and there was a marked change. And this is, when we're going into the mobile phones starting to not really work too well, and the keyboards not working too well, and then this un-user-friendly software that they've put everywhere, and ads. It's just a horrible world. Ads, forced adverts. Life is not a point of sale. Just to have, to live in a world, where all doors are open, and, just for a month or a week, you imagine if you went on holiday to a village and, it's got, 100 or 200 or 300 houses, but none of the doors are locked. All the vehicles are open, and the keys are in. You just use it, drive somewhere to the post office, drive back, then just leave the car there with the keys in. Why would you need to go into any of the other houses? If you got, stuff in the house that you need, you got blankets, cutlery. All this motion detecting, digitalizing TV, checking algorithms, biometric, all this crap. It just is all absolutely unnecessary unless you're actually assimilating the human. They want to make the world around us so it won't work for certain people. It'll only work for other people. And that is wrong. Because, anyone can pick an apple off a tree, and anyone can cut a tree down or plant a tree, right? These people want to make the world around us only function and operate for authorized persons. Like God, if you're authorized to be here, if you're born. If you're born and alive, you're authorized to be here, right? Although there's a lot of strange things happening now with Andrew Bridgen that he's raising, and Dr. Campbell, John Campbell, So it just doesn't make sense. Now, if things are going wrong and the crime is going up and this and that, well, that's their fault. They should have given people more wages and money. They shouldn't be having wars and making weapons and blowing other countries up. And we need to sort out and deal with that. Maybe, you see, the thing with Starmer and Sunak, and this is not racist at all, you can suggest that maybe sometimes it might be a good idea to keep certain people, with their own people. If it's going to cause problems for other people, that doesn't mean anyone hates them or doesn't like them, like for their own good and for everyone else's good. But I don't think Rishi Sunak actually believes that at all. But he does believe that poor people should be in poor houses and rich people should be in rich houses in North Yorkshire with, fancy gardens and gates and grounds and electric security fence and motion detectors. So that means that Rishi Sunak doesn't want certain types of humans and people in his garden. He doesn't want people really in his village who are too poor because, they might be untrustworthy. Sunak and the Tories want, they don't want poor people in rich circles because they're not authorised to be there. And that's when you get your motion detectors and they want to know who everyone is and where they're going and everything. Look, that is paranoid. 10, 20 years ago, if you exhibited this behaviour in a court, they'd say that you were paranoid if you had to know what everyone was saying in every room, right? When you used to go to parties and someone was like, oh, what's so-and-so saying, what's so-and-so saying, and you just kept asking what every single person said and doing, they used to say that was paranoia. And yet these police officers and this Secretary of State for the Home Office, they want to know absolutely everything about everyone and everything they're doing. That's paranoid, right? And they don't seem to think that people just want to go about normal daily life, enjoy normal things. Someone's going to blow up the airport or the fucking, coal factory or God knows what, or get into Bill Gates' Microsoft office, shut everything down or whatever. But why would they want to do that? Well, if they're annoying them and winding them up with adverts, with people, wind-up merchants popping up on phones and mimicking them and copying them, it might make them do things like that. I don't like it. I got an idea with Greg Secker popping up on my phone all the time. He was doing my head in. I had to report it to the Advertising Standards Agency and so forth. I didn't want to, but you don't even want. You don't even want to ignore people, but they're that guy had like 100 ads running like all the time, This is the thing. You see, if you could go around to Secker's house and knock on his door without the police badgering you, and say, "Look, Secker, I'm sick of those ads. Will you stop it?" Then you've told him. This is the thing. Because he's doing something to upset and hurt you, and then you want it to stop. The police don't believe in policing. The police actually don't believe in policing. The police don't believe in the people policing. The police believe in them policing. And if they don't think it's serious or important, then you don't get any policing at all. There wasn't meant to be a police force. There was meant to be laws. And we ended up with this police force, and it's become a military now. I still think that we're under occupation from the conquest, no matter about the niceties, and the politenesses. How can we solve that problem? Well, don't have people with authority. Don't give certain people authority over other people. If everyone's got equal authority, then everyone's got the equal capacity to debate and come to an agreeable conclusion, no matter how long it takes, But that's not how this government want to run it. They want to control who can go through doors, biometrics. They've got the buttons, and that is what they're selling to us on these phones. They're selling, you've got the power to block, ban, but only under your station, level 1, and then it goes up to level 2. This is what they do now with the mobile phone companies. We have level 1, and I'll put you through to level 2. These different levels. What level is Keir Starmer with his powerhouses? Well, they're not power for us. They're power for the government, when they know, every movement you do or motion. Why would you need that? It's just ridiculous. What conclusions can we draw and what agreements can be made? Well, I don't really think many when these people are doing terrorist attacks. The fact is that, to them, now that they have every single thing that they want and more, when they don't get their own way, they regard it as damage. You're damaging and obstructing them. You're causing them damage. When even their projected future profits they haven't made yet, if, ministers are changing the law, that's damage. And these people get angry and they don't do it like, obviously, they don't do it like, they do it, they don't want people to know they're angry they don't want to be liable. And this is when these events are happening and these actions. And everyone else has to suffer. You know, we have to suffer. We have to have their stuff built next to us. We have to have our environment damaged. And, you know, Robert F. Kennedy was saying that everyone wants the environment. You know, everyone cares about the environment. I don't think they do. I don't think that everyone does care about the environment. I think people care about, you know, getting to the football match. I think people care about getting the McDonald's. I think people care about, you know, going out with the lads or watching the match or, you know, going to a studio audience and clapping or turning up to, you know, going to the cinema. You know, people, I think people like the countryside if they can afford it or if they live there or if they're not bored to death with it. But I think that it's the thing in the background that it should just look after itself. But because we are being distracted by all these things, people, their priorities are now into mobile phones, you know, watching their favourite show, objects, things, ornaments, just like in, you know, like Return to Oz, you know, when all their friends are turned into objects, you know. All these films, I don't think the films have been helping either. They say that, oh, make a film about it, make a point about it. I don't think it works because, you know, we've had all these points made in these films and it hasn't helped us making the points in the movies or making a film about it to try and get a point across, or even Coronation Street. It's not actually helping. It's actually just entertainment and a distraction. I really think that the human race could do with, like, a break from television for like 12 months. I think lockdown was quite good when a lot of the studios were shut down, you know. I mean, that would be something, you know, at least something interesting. You know, if they turned off the TV for 12 months, I mean, they do have this minute of silence, don't they? You know, apparently, if you're the king, you know, you can have a minute of silence for the Queen or the King. Why not, like, you know, 12 months of silence for the country? You know? You know, like, we've got bonfire night, you know, we've got Christmas, open the presents, all these celebrations. A minute of silence. Why don't, you know, have a week of silence? You know, why doesn't the BBC, you know, why doesn't the Rishi Sunak go, right, we know you're all under stress at the moment through all these things that are happening, and we can't deny that there's a lot going on with all these action groups, and, you know, things are afoot with Andrew Bridgen that we don't really want to have to talk about in Hansards. But what we're going to do is we're going to have a week of silence. There will be no television allowed to be broadcast for a week. Now, everyone would kick off then, wouldn't they? Because then they'd be complaining that their independent channels wouldn't be able to tell us what's happening. They would think that probably Sunak's planned it or something. I think it'd do us good. At least he did, like, supposedly ban smoking, which I thought was a good move, really. But I kind of believe that people should be able to do what they want, but it's not been helping. You know, although thinks it probably would be good for everyone to, you know, not have the distractions of devices. But now we need them and depend on them, you know.